Hello, hello. Welcome to Revelator Alpha Motorcycle Mag Show. The video podcast, the live stream, the radio show, whatever you want to call it. This is it. Where I'm talking a special show, a special live show dedicated to Harley Davidson. Now, if you've been watching some of my live shows recently, I've been kind of mentioning Harley Davidson in terms of, well, where are they? Because a lot of what I'm doing now, especially on these live shows, is talking about all the new motorcycles for 2023. Now, as we know, Harley Davidson for the last 2 years or so, 2, 3 years, they've been delaying the announcement of their new models for the upcoming year until January. So they have a big reveal in January. So everybody, all the other manufacturers have already released their bikes. So I'm saying right now, look, where are Harley Davidson? So this is the story. What's the story? Biker Glory today. And it's only about this company here, isn't it? Now, I don't want to give the impression to anybody that this is a negative live show. It's actually a show asking questions. It's about asking you guys, what do you think? Do you think Harley Davidson are making the biggest mistake in the company's history by not being relevant at the moment? And when I talk about relevant, they're not even being discussed. They're only being discussed by the likes of people who have a real interest in motorcycles and Harley Davidson in the online arena, as it were, fans, let's say. And you've got lots of channels out there, lots of YouTube channels, lots of websites, lots of online publications who might reference Harley Davidson, or they might make a specific thing. And obviously now, as we're approaching the end of the year and we're awaiting Harley Davidson, there's lots of speculation and rumor coming out about what bike is going to be here or what they're going to do there. But there's no substance. There's no reality here. It's all speculation. It's all rumor. I popped into a dealership yesterday because I was just interested, one, to see what sort of inventory they had. And yeah, they had loads of bikes. But I was also, because as I said before, I am possibly looking at a Tourer for next year, but I want to look at the kind of bikes that are available, what my finances would be, and what the economy is going to be like, and what sort of finance and deals you can get anyway. So I went in there and I was looking at Tours. I was looking at road glides, street glides, and road kings as well. And but I kind of was having a quick chat with the salesman, and we were talking about as well. Look, really, this is for next year, but they've got bikes. They've got end of year bikes available. So the dealerships, they've got stock, as far as I can tell. I'm sure many haven't, but whereas before there was hardly any stock, now they seem to have gathered stock now throughout the year. So they've got stock there, and yeah, granted, be 2022 bikes. So the dealerships may be in a good place. I'm not sure you're going to get the best deal right now because of obviously the rising costs in the industry and also the economy and everything like that, and the relatively shortage of supply. But also, if you're wanting to wait for a 2023 bike now, you're going to have to put your orders in, well, as soon as the bikes come out, or you're going to have to put your order in for let's say if you want to go for a road glide, okay, a road glide special, you're going to have to put your order in December just so you can get a chance of getting it in April, March or April. So this is, but you don't even know what the 2023 bike is going to be. And I know people do this. They'll put an order in for a brand new motorcycle without even knowing what the spec on that is going to be. They just know next year, I want a brand new motorcycle, whatever it is, road glides, whatever. Now you assume they're still going to continue with the road glides or the street glides or whatever it is, whatever model it's going to be. But are they making a mistake? Are they? And I want to ask you this question, so please let us know in the comments below. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know in the chat as well. Uh, I've got to say this as well. If you like the channel, you like to supporting it, you can support in many ways with all the super chats and super stickers. You can go to the website and lots of information there. Harley Davidson, lots of other brands. You can show your support there as well. But the question is, what do you think Harley Davidson are doing right, one, or doing wrong, two? Now, I'm not talking about all the issues that they've had in terms of warranties or anything. This show has got nothing to do with that. It's got nothing to do with the problems that all manufacturers have had with stock and or supply chains and all that. This is not that. We're not talking about that. What I'm talking about here is is what you feel about Harley Davidson now. Is it right for the future? And what are they doing now? And is it right for the future of the company or for your future interest in Harley Davidson? This is, I suppose, my key point here. What do they have to do to keep your interest? Are they making the biggest mistake now by not really moving with the times? Now, as I said in previous shows recently, I've been talking about, where are Harley Davidson? What are they doing? Yes, I know their strategy is to, come away from the autumn reveal of their bikes and they start the brand new year. But if you look at the other manufacturers, they're releasing their bikes, and you can go to, let's say, to a Honda dealership right now, okay? And you can say, Honda, they're going to release this bike next year, okay? I want it now. I want to put my order in now. I like the look of that. So the salesman may or may not have information of it, but you're going in now. You're going in, well, Honda were releasing their models last month. So from October, November, December, you got a 3-month head start on Harley Davidson. Harley Davidson then, by the time they come out with their reveal in January, their models are not going to hit the floor. The brand new ones I'm talking about, brand new models. Let's say if they do come out brand new models, of course, they're not going to hit the floor until later in the year. So let's say another 3 or 4 months, let's say. That's just in the United States. Around the world, it probably could be about another 6 or 7 months. So they're delaying that interest. They're delaying that gratification. They're delaying the customer satisfaction. But the other hand, there's another side to this. The other side to this is this, that Harley Davidson themselves, this could be the best strategy ever. This could be the one which kind of, yes, they want to be the outsider. This is all part of them, being the outsider, because they're taking themselves out of the conventional marketing thing, which all the other manufacturers are doing. They're saying, no, we're going to do it our way. Has it worked? Well, I suppose in some levels it has. It definitely has. There's been interest. They've been drip feeding, models throughout the year. They kind of come out with a little long icon bike. They have their January reveal of bikes. Last year it was the ST models. Then a little bit later on, they had the Nightster come out. Then a little bit later on, they had the Diablo that came out as well. So their strategy on one hand, once they start with that strategy, in other words, once January comes, it kind of thinks, yeah, okay, it's working now. Harley Davidson's working. However, it only tends to work for, let's say, 6-7 months. The rest of the year, you're thinking, yeah, where are they? What's going on? Where's the new models? Because we're always asking, where are the new models from Harley Davidson, right? What's going on? Where are they? What are they doing? But if you look at it from an industry point of view, and maybe in the United States and Canada, you're not really getting this impression, but us in Europe or here in Europe, definitely, and around the world as well, there are always motorcycle trade shows in the autumn. You get the ones in Europe, you get the ones, well, autumn and winter, I should say, because this is where you reveal your bikes, to the public. You have your public announcement on your websites and through press releases and through people like me who will, relay information to you about what is new out there, what the new bikes out there. But then you go to the trade shows with your new bikes. And I've said this lots and lots of times in recent months. Harley Davidson, when they go to these trade shows now, for me, they're like old news. It's like, well, this it's not even old news. It's just no news. There is no news there. I will dig into the comments as well, so please let us know. Cyborg, hello. How are you? Thanks for joining. Um, so but we go to the shows and the trade shows. This is, and Harley Davidson have their stand there, and it's bikes that we've already seen, in the media, let's say, or on their website, or even in dealerships. So you go there expecting something different, and I will come on to the visuals of their shows or their trade stands, which I just don't think are good enough anymore. I don't think they're good enough. But in terms of a grand reveal, there's nothing there. There's nothing there for you and I to look at, because we already know it. Now, about 3 or 4 years ago, maybe about 3 years ago, I think it was, because there was a bit of a gap. It was about 3 years ago. They introduced the concepts of was it 4 years ago? It could be 3 years ago. They introduced the concept here in England, right, at a trade show. They introduced the concept of the Pan America and the Bronx. Okay. They had them up in they weren't behind glass or anything. And they did this kind of tour around the world of those two bikes. They weren't really given much information. And it was kind of in many ways, it was kind of a bad ploy, because you put the bikes there, but you weren't giving in any information out. It was just like, well, what's going on here? But what's this engine? But at least that it was there. You could see it and you go, wow, these are the new bikes. This is the future, is it? It sparked the enthusiasm. You were kind of asking questions. You were asking questions at dealerships, in hog chapters or biker cafes or whatever. People think, have you seen that new bike? Do you see? So it creates a stir. It creates something. I've said this about Harley Davidson in previous live streams as well. When I used to go to trade shows before, Harley Davidson was where the party was at. It was kind of thing, right, this is your corporate manufacturer. This is where the corporate world is, oh, we're going to be very professional. Then all of a sudden, what's that noise? What's that noise? Oh, no. Look, there's loud music out there. There's people laughing. There's people dancing. There's people sitting on bikes and having fun. That was Harley Davidson. Harley Davidson, that was them. And you'd be like this, what? Oh, okay. I'm coming. I'll be there in a minute. But now they're not. They've copied this corporate sort of presentation of their motorcycles. In fact, the other that were once corporate style, they've started to be a bit more of a show, create a bit more of a show of lights and sound and multimedia and everything. Whereas Harley Davidson, they're just like, what is it? So there's the trade show aspect, the visual aspect of it, which I just don't think is there. But they're not actually presenting anything new. Now, us here, you and I, you're watching me, and again, really appreciate the comments, and I really appreciate anybody joining the chat and let us know your thoughts. But what do you think? What do you think of this strategy where it's radio silence? There's nothing there. I mean, I could go onto the Harley Davidson website now, and I can show you all the bikes, right? And look, this is nothing new, right? Let me just share it for you, right? There we go. Just present that, share the screen. There we go. Right. So you've got this, right? This is the Harley Davidson website here in the UK. And I've just picked the cruisers for whatever. You've got all the cruisers there, all lined up. Why the Heritage Classic? I could never quite understand why the Heritage Classic was a Softail myself. I don't know. It is a Softail, of course, but it is. I don't know. It just seems always a bit funny to me. I mean, it's a Softail chassis, but it's a Tourer, really. I don't know. Anyway, that's a separate issue, much separate issue. But I just think, the bikes that they've got, great. I mean, if you watch my last live stream, I kind of delved into this, what I think, or what my hopes for Harley Davidson should be for next year in terms of, I think they should slim down the Tourer line. I think they should slim down the Softail line. I think they should introduce more models with a Revolution Max engine. I think they should put a Revolution Max engine in the Touring line, one in the Softail line. They should expand the Sportster line models to emulate the old Sportsters really more with the Revolution Max engine. I think they should produce a lot smaller bikes as well. There's lots of things which I think they should do. This is not rumor. This is not speculation. This is just what I think that they should do. But because for the most part, most of those suggestions you would imagine that they're not going to do. So is that the biggest mistake? Is that the biggest mistake? The biggest mistake for me that Harley Davidson do is that they don't produce bikes that will attract the interest of non-Harley Davidson riders, non-Harley Davidson fans. They don't produce bikes for people who are just getting into riding. They don't produce I'm not saying that they have to produce, mopeds or 125s or 50 cc's or whatever, but I think they need to produce mid-range bikes. That's what I think they need to produce. Cyborg, look, interesting you say this. This is an interesting thing. It's almost as if they've lost their spark. There's 2 or 3 manufacturers out there, which I think is exactly that. I look at them and I think you've lost your spark there. You're just not at the races a little bit. And this is where Harley Davidson are. I just don't, at this time of year, and it seems to be, as I say, it seems to be when all the other manufacturers are coming out and saying, this is our bike, brand new bike. Every day I'm getting news feeds. Every day I'm getting press releases from lots of different motorcycle manufacturers, some big, some small, some independents, whatever it is, right? But you're getting it. You're getting, some news out there. And then all of a sudden, Harley Davidson, there's nothing. There's no rumors. Well, let's go. There's rumors, but what I'm saying, there's no little reels or no little snippets of information, no little Easter eggs, as it were, from the company themselves. There's nothing. Regarding smaller bikes, yes, they tried. What went wrong with the Street? Yeah, what went wrong with the Street 500 and 750? What went wrong with it? Because it looked pretty. It would look pretty not great, and also it was overpriced for what it was in terms of the competition. But if they kind of stuck with it and redesigned it and made it a better price point, maybe it would have been better, right? You look at that market, that bike was made in India and it was too expensive for the Indian market. Forever, so people weren't buying it because the Indian market, it just looked it looked okay in some respects, but there we go. David, hello. Hi, Rev. Hello. I know some guys with Heritage Softails who like to tour but ride solo, so don't need a Road King. Yeah, look, I met a couple of guys with. I like the Heritage Softail, I've got to say, and the more I looked at it, the more I thought, yeah. I met a couple of guys who swore by it. Yeah, brilliant. I can't remember what they said they moved from to the Heritage Softail, but I look at it and I think, yeah. I get it. I completely get the Heritage Softail. And there's the problem with the Heritage Softail. It sits right at the top of the tree of the Softails, doesn't it? And the let me just have a look here. What's the price of it? It's 22,395, right? So it sits right at the top of the tree of the sorry, Heritage Classic I'm talking about, not Heritage Softail. It sits right at the top of the tree of the Softails. Whereas you take the, let me just share the screen here again so you can see what I'm looking at as well. So Heritage Classic here, for UK price, this is 22,395, right? Right there. But if I look at the, oops, there we go. If I look at the American Tourers, let's say the Road King, which I suppose would be the cheapest right now. Okay, I know that it's 22,195. So that's what I mean in terms of where that Heritage Classic sits. It's kind of in the touring price range. Lots of people are going with the Classic because it's got that touring capability, really good touring capability, I've got to say, and they don't have to pay touring prices, or they don't have to go that way. But you could say the same thing about the Sport Glide. Okay, you could say the same thing now about the Lowrider ST, right? Okay, you could have that kind of thing. But look, this is not really. I'm not really talking about individual bikes here per se. I'm not, I think there's a lot of room to cull the herd, let's say, thin the herd, but there's lots of room there to expand and to develop and to bring new bikes out. And I'm not talking about one new bike or the nonsense of the ST. For me, the ST lineup is a nonsense because all you've done essentially is aesthetically change a little bit of the bike, and then just, obviously the engine goes up, yes, but in terms of, it's not a new model, is it? It's just, different bags, different engine or upgraded engine, and, okay, exhaust performance and everything, and suspension. But essentially, they're still the same bike, right? They're still the same bike. You got the same bike with bags on it, or you got the same bag with different suspension, but essentially the same bike. But what I'm saying is, well, all last year, they bought one bike out, one brand new bike. Okay. The brand new bike was the Nightster. That's it. That's all they brought out. Now, yeah, you could argue, and it's a valid argument. I got to say, it's a valid argument because of the global situation and the economy and everything like that. Maybe this is a strategy. They have to take lean years. And I always said 2022 would be a lean year for not only Harley Davidson, but for lots of manufacturers out there. But only to come out with one bike, that's not enough. And to have this late reveal in January, where all the other manufacturers have already got your attention, right? I'm not saying you as you might be a Harley Davidson fan, but I'm saying as in the wider world, right? And say, look, they've already grabbed the attention of people who are interested in motorcycles. Full stop, right? They've already got the attention, So there's an old adage in is it marketing or sales speak? Is that, the company that first brings a product to market is the one that will always do the best. I'm paraphrasing here. I forgot what the whole thing is. Regardless of if it's the best product. In fact, usually it's not the best product. There'll be other products that'll be better after it. But because they brought it to market first, they're the ones that people remember. That's the trade name that they remember. And sometimes trade names even take over the product, what the product is actually called. In a very famous one here in the UK, right? Very famous one, vacuum cleaners, or what we call vacuum cleaners, right? Back in the day, years ago, there was a company called Hoover. So Hoover used to make vacuum cleaners, but it became public verbiage, let's say. It became public way of describing a vacuum cleaner as a Hoover, right? And that was it. So it's that kind of thing. They were one of the first companies, the biggest companies, to put out loads of vacuum cleaners and loads of products. And yeah, I'm not saying they were the first one, but they really took it by storm. So it became consciousness in the public consciousness that product is just called a Hoover. We just call it a Hoover. Even today, people say, I still say, do you want to get the Hoover out? I haven't got a Hoover, but you just get the Hoover out. It's one of those things. So it's I think that because other manufacturers are coming out early with their products, they've already grabbed the attention. So this is Harley Davidson's biggest mistake. They're trying to play a system that they think still exists. They're trying to manipulate a system, a psyche that still exists. And that psyche is that people still want to buy Harley Davidsons, or they still want to buy really expensive bikes, or they still want to buy air-cooled bikes and everything like that. Now, that still may be the case today. But is it going to be the case tomorrow? Is it going to be the case next year? Is it going to be a case in the next generation? I personally just don't think so. I just don't think it will be. You look at the kids. If you got children and you have different ages, you'll know how these kids are these days. They're totally different to the way we were when we were growing up. Totally different. So I think they're making a mistake. They're not really tapping into what younger people or young kids, teenagers, let's say, for example, even younger kids, what they're thinking as they're growing up and what problems they're facing. There we go. Let's get a couple of opinions here. Cyborg, I think if they take a road glide and strap a turbo on it and make it as badass muscle bike, then then, and they will make it exciting like an American muscle cars, just American muscle bike. Sorry, I'm tripping over myself there. Do you know what? But that for me, that would be exciting. That would be different. That would be something, right? Saying, right, if you're going to say, right, okay, we're going to have special bikes, special models, let's say, then do it. Call it the specials if you like. These are Harley Davidson specials. Harley Davidson, you can have a muscle bike. You can have a CVO if you want that, right? You can have this. You can make them as you say, badass as you like. Oh yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think that's quite a decent shout. Don't think of a late 2020 reveal. Think of it as an early 2020 intro. Yes, but that's what they say. But this is my point. Is it the right strategy? Once you're in January, as I said, once you're in January, it seems as if it is the right strategy. But right now, it doesn't seem like it's the right strategy. And when you're talking about the motorcycles that they're producing, the motorcycles that they're producing, and it's you wonder what are they going to do. We're all sitting here waiting for Harley Davidson to announce or to release something, or for some bright spark out there to say to you and I, listen, I've got it on paper. I've got physical evidence here, that Harley Davidson are going to bring out this bike here, this bike here, this bike here. They're going to release this one in January, this one in March, this one, you've got physical evidence, right? Or a memo or whatever, a leaked memo. But you got nothing like that. You only got speculation, or you got wonder as to think, what the hell are they going to do? What are they going to do? That's all you've got right now. And actually, you could argue that ever since they released the Nightster, yes, I know that El Diablo came out, but that was an icon bike. That was a bit of a nonsense, really, for me, in terms of, large scale sales, right? That's it. They haven't really done anything. They haven't really moved with the times. They've kind of been stuck, and whoever it was, Cyborg, you said, yeah, as if they've lost their spark. They've lost their way a little bit, I think. They've lost their way. The whole point of this Revolution Max engine, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this is just an impression. This is just an opinion. But the whole point of the Revolution Max engine was to turn the perception of Harley Davidson on its head. Okay, that's great. And I think definitely with the Pan America, they have definitely done that in certain quarters. It made people, stand up and take notice. Maybe think, hey, this is a decent bike. I've ridden it myself. The people who watch the channel who've got one, they say, yeah, great bike. A few teething problems, but look, nothing that can't be fixed. Great bike. The Sportster S, I thought was an odd bike. The Nightster, I thought was a decent bike, but it's just design issues. My biggest issue with Harley Davidson and the Nightster is just the way they revealed it and just the marketing of it. So you can say, well, you're going to reveal a bike, but your whole marketing strategy on that bike was to show all these custom builders basically taking your bike, ripping it apart, and making their own custom creations. So you're basically saying, okay, you're going to give you a bike, but we're going to give you some extra accessories to put on it. It's just, but there we go. Listen. Let's have a look here. You're right. Harley needs models for, I would say 400, 750cc, but so expensive and risky for stockholders. Look, these are ideas, these are opinions, which I think works for other manufacturers. Will they work for Harley Davidson? I don't know. You know, if you speak to people, let's say in my age or older, they would definitely say no, definitely not. Don't need Harley Davidson need to be that premium brand. They need to be that aspirational brand. They need to be the cruiser, the tourer, all that kind of stuff. Crikey, many people don't even like the Revolution Max engine. They can't stand it, you know. But it's just a weird one for for Harley Davidson to be stuck in this rut. I think they're stuck in a rut because if they don't do something special in the January reveal, then they've pretty much lost a massive market share. And all they're doing is really all they're doing is uh, feeding the customers that they already have, which is great. Don't get me wrong. That is a fantastic way of doing business. Take care of the customers that you've already got, or keep the engagement, keep the interest with the customers that you've already got. However, they're failing on attracting new customers who cannot afford the big ticket items, right? Big ticket items. There we go. Sorry, here we go. Let me see. Kenneth. Nice. I like this. Bit of humor. Lovely. This is where it is. Yeah, made for shellfish. Oh, club up. Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant. All right, let's here we go. Lecture William. Hello. Hello, how are you? In the past, we always could check out the new bikes for the next year at the European Bike Week in Austria. First week of September, Harley makes a mess of it. We're on the same wavelength then. We're on the same wavelength. This is it. You know, they used to have the Harley Davidson trade show in the United States. And forgive me if I've got this wrong, but I'm sure it used to be in August. And this wasn't open to the public. This was open to dealerships and, okay, granted, mostly American dealerships, but dealerships, sales, marketing, industry people, right? And they would say, look, these are all the new bikes. There you go. Here's our new bikes. This is not, this is for you to share with the public. This is for you to be our marketing, So marketing using external people, using social media, using whatever, websites, whatever, to do your marketing for you. Because look, as I'm talking about Harley Davidson, this is a form of marketing, right? This is a form of advertising for their brand, for their product. And I talk about their bikes and I show you the website, that kind of thing. And I show you their logos and, all this kind of stuff, and I might show you a little video and I make videos about it and I talk about them. This is all free marketing for them. But it's probably the worst kind of marketing that they can have right now. Not by me, okay? Not by me. Or what I'm saying is, in general terms, because we're not talking about their new products, we're kind of talking about, well, where are they? What's going to happen? Where are they? So the interest is there, but it's kind of it's almost like a confusion. It's almost like, well, what are we doing here? What's going on? And we're right. You're right. In the autumn bike shows here in Europe, especially, okay, autumn bike shows were always big shop windows, let's say, for not only for the trade, but also for the public to be able to get eyes on. So what would happen is that the information would go out to the press, as in press releases. And let's say if you want to class me within that realm, as in because I receive press releases, right? Yeah, you can say we get it, as in the whole media spectrum, from social media to YouTubers to websites, whatever. We all get this information, and some of us bring it out a little bit earlier. Some of us talk about every single thing that comes out, and some, cherry pick here and there. But essentially, you've got everybody talking about new bikes, new this, Honda are doing this, Yamaha are doing that, Ducati are doing that, and Vigus are doing that, whatever, Fantic, KT, the list is endless, of course, endless. But then you're talking about people who are talking, and we're talking louder and louder, and we're kind of questioning, well, what's going on? What are we doing? So that can't be good. That can't be good for Harley Davidson. That can't be good for everybody else. Now, when January comes, as I say, this is because I'm not sure whether this is a great strategy or not. I don't know. That's why I asked a question. I put a question mark in the title. Are they making the biggest mistake, or is it the best thing ever? But I just think this time of year that for all the reasons that I've given, we're wondering where are they, what are they going to do, and what they're going to do for next year. So for me, they've got so many issues to deal with. And the reason why I wanted to make this live show, and I said it in a previous show as well, in this respect, I see Harley Davidson as being a very old, established company, but I see them having such potential to amaze us with motorcycles for the future. And I think because they're just not doing it. They're just not doing it in many, many different motorcycle model markets, as it were, or motorcycle model lines. They're just not doing. They're just not there. Mid-range bikes, these small bikes, street bikes, performance bikes, sports bikes, whatever. Whatever other motorcycle segment you can think of, Harley Davidson aren't there. They're tourers, they're cruisers, whatever. Now, obviously, the adventure bike as well. So you would thought that the Revolution Max engine would bring you into that, bring us into that kind of world, open up a lot more avenues, a lot more interest. But I think this year has been a poor year for Harley Davidson. I'm not talking about certainly not talking about their performance in terms of stocks or shares or that kind of thing. Look, people are still going to buy Harley Davidsons, and they're still going to buy with interest. And yes, the best bike is a Lowrider ST, isn't it? I mean, which one is this? I'll show you there. The new models. Where are you? Come on, there we go. Lowrider ST. I think this is the best model. Is that right? Or the best-selling model? Is that right? I could be wrong. Let me just bring some photos up here. There we go. Lowrider ST, which is this one here. Hold on. There we go. Right, that's better. I've got some pictures and graphics for you. Have you got the Lowrider ST and the Lowrider S? I believe these are the two biggest selling motorcycles that they have. But if you look, let's just look at the lineup here. You've got the Nightster, right? You got the Nightster, which from this angle, I think is the exhaust is a bit weird, but this side, the right side, I think is a decent looking bike. I think the top of the handlebars, that line there is a little bit weird, but there we go. Nice little graphics here from Harley Davidson. This is all from their media site that I get access to. Sportster S, nice little photo here from the Sportster S. Yeah, not my kind of bike, but there we go. The Pan America, yeah, nice. And one in shot. But then we get into the cruisers. Look, Softail Standard. There's people saying that, hey, listen, Softail Standards is going to be removed. They're getting rid of it. Other people saying these are all rumors, again, speculation, rumors. 107, they're going to get rid of it. The Street Bob. Sport Glide. Now, the Sport Glide, of course, is what I ride, but just remember the Sport Glide is still being sold around the world. It's just not being sold in the American and Canadian market, but it is still being sold. Whether this will be the very last year for the Sport Glide, who knows? I'm not sure how many of these being sold, especially now because you've got the Lowrider ST. Is that, it kind of makes sense that they do drop the Sport Glide. I think it's a mistake. But if they say they're going to drop the 107 engine and they also got the Lowrider ST, why do you need the Sport Glide? Why do you need the El Diablo as well? But the Fat Bob, I'm just wondering how much life is left in the Fat Bob, I've got to say. Lowrider ST, Lowrider S, Lowrider ST, El Diablo, Breakout. That's another one. Again, I'm sure different markets have a different view of the Breakout. I'm not sure how many of these are being sold. And then obviously the Heritage Classic as well, which I say is right at the top of the tree in terms of price on Softails. And then it comes level pegging with the Tourist. And you see, yeah, a lot of crossover. there was a lot of crossover from tourer riders who jumped down, if you want, to the Softails, and they went to either the Heritage Classic or they went to the Sport Glide. And I'm sure a lot of those have go into the Lowrider ST as well. Then you're coming into Road Glide Special, Road Glides, Road King Special, Road Glide Special, Street Glide Special, and then you've got the is this the CVOs? Is it whatever they are? No, sorry, these are the STs. The Street Glide ST and Road Glide ST, CVOs, and then you obviously got the trikes there. But look, it's they've got models there, and yes, they can clean them up, and yes, maybe there's a bit of overlapping there. I get it. I get all that. But for the bike that they really wanted to produce, the engine that they really wanted to, promote, they haven't really done a lot of promotion with it. They haven't really released a lot of new bikes with it. And I know yes, again, I have to keep on correcting myself or checking myself here, because the last couple of years, in terms of the global, COVID and the global economy and supply chains, it's been difficult. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. And maybe this is just bad timing. I'll tell you what, I'll even check myself further. I am probably being a bit harsh on a company like Harley Davidson with all that in the background. But we always knew that probably 2022 was, going to be a quiet year for all those reasons, right? So fine, you give them a pass on that. I'll give them a pass. But when you're talking about next year, 2023, and you want to really kind of kickstart the year and say, right, yeah, let's do something special. Let's make something special. Let's do something that everybody's going to think, wow, Harley Davidson are back. Harley Davidson are here with a vengeance. Or Harley Davidson are the ones that are, this is the bike that I want, or this is the company that I want to be, associated with in terms of what I ride, right? But there's no news. There's nothing there. I think Harley Davidson need to do something huge in January. And if you're watching Harley Davidson, whatever plans you've got, if they're not huge, if it's not eye-watering wonder, amazement, right? All I would say is stop what you're doing, and do that. Do something amazing, do something brilliant, do something that captures not only older generation riders, but new generation riders. And if that just means not just one bike, you're bringing out 5 brand new models or 7 brand new models, whatever it is, then do that. What about, forget about engine sizes, forget about, putting bags on a bike, forget about color schemes, let's stop the conversation about how Harley Davidsons are overpriced. Let's just stop all that. Let's just start having the conversation about, wow, this is amazing. Wow, look at what they've done. My God, they talked about this Bronx motorcycle, and guess what? They've done it. But it's not what we thought. It's even better. Oh yeah, they talked about, the Pan America they're talking about with the 975 engine as well. Okay, fine. That, of all the rumors that I've heard, that seems the most logical one. But again, I think they need to have a smaller bike. The rumors that were going around about the Harley Davidson with a Chinese hookup, with the 500cc bike, now it kind of evolved. Why not shock and amaze us with that? As I said, my wish list, what about, hey, you want the Revolution Max Tourer? Boom, there it is. Yeah, you want a Revolution Max Softail? Boom, there it is. Okay, you're going to have a different chassis, of course, but you could still put it within that Softail Tourer lineup, right? What about anything that it just amazes you, anything that you makes you sit down and think, wow. But they haven't done it, and they just, I suppose my problem here is this with the last year. For some people, The STs are everything. They love them, and there's nothing wrong with that. I saw one the other day, yesterday in the dealership. Yeah, it looks really nice. But I said to the sales guy, I said, you know what? ST is not for me. And he kind of looked at me as if to say, oh, no, really? I said, no, not for me. Give me the Street Glide Special or Road King Special, or even Road Glide Special. Give me those bikes over the STs, and but I say it depends if you want, okay, all they've got is a 117 engine. I said, okay, fine. That doesn't bother me per se. I prefer the look of the specials rather than the STs. But but it's just they came out with the STs, and I thought, well, yeah, okay, fine, whatever, not for me. I think it's overhyped, whatever it is. Then they came out with the Nightster and then the Al Diablo. But I just thought it was just a very slow descent throughout the year. There wasn't very much. And you got channels like mine or lots of others who talk about Harley Davidson on a regular basis now. Or that's all they talk about Harley Davidson, right? And it's almost like, you're grabbing at straws here. You're trying to find something that just isn't there. Because guess what? Harley Davidson, they're not doing anything. They're not producing anything. But they're not keeping your interest either. And I don't know if this is put it this way. Harley Davidson need to have a long, hard look at themselves in terms of their media department. Somebody somewhere needs to say to them, yeah, hold on a minute, guys. Let's just rethink about the way you're launching your bikes, or the visuals, or, the global presence, or the way you're doing it. I'm sure they think they're doing a great job. And this is what I always say. So, okay, you listen to the people who are cheering for you and go, yeah, it's brilliant, right? But you should also listen, not to the lone voice, not to the lone detractor, not to the lone criticism, but you should definitely listen to, if you've got a whole body of people out there, websites, industry, social media, YouTube channels, whatever, who may be critical at some point, right? And maybe if they're critical of the same thing, then you're going to think, you know what? That's we need to change things up. So for me, this is what Harley Davidson need to do. I think they definitely, if you're going to continue with this January reveal, launch party, whatever it is, then you've got to be a lot more proactive throughout the year in releasing new information and bringing new products to the market. If you want to do this drip feed of models and information throughout the years and new reveals throughout the year, I should say, then it's got to be on a more regular basis. You've got to do it one every couple of months, or one every quarter, one every 3 months, let's say. You've got to do something like that. You've got to bring more than one bike out. You've got to bring more, 2 or 3, 4 at least. You can't just do one bike. It's just not enough. And when it comes to this time of year, you've got to think, right, okay, although we haven't got a new bike, we're not going to discuss our new bikes, right? What they should be saying is just like they should be starting to ramp up very quickly from September, or even August. The company PR machine, the company visuals, the company marketing. They should be coming out with little snippets of information, maybe engaging with, I don't know, it could be celebrities, or it could be YouTubers, it could be website people, it could be whatever, and just start having little snippet interviews here about Harley Davidson. What do you want to see? What do you want to know? What do you think that we should do as a company? All of a sudden, it gets them in the conversation. When we got the September to October, November, December, and then January and February trade shows, Harley Davidson need to be there with a massive show. They need to be able to attract people, and not only to the stale stench that they've already seen, but something that's new, that's bright, that's interesting. It doesn't always have to be a brand new motorcycle, but it has to be a new show. It has to be something visual. Let's just get into these some of these comments here as well. Sorry, I haven't really been paying much attention. I'll try and get back into them. The hints and suggestions about Harley failing become truth eventually through today's media. Yeah. Look, I mean, like again, look, I don't want to blow my own trumpet, as I say, but lots of things that I've talked about over the last couple of years, I've been proven right. I've been proven right. And whilst I'm not going to, I don't, people want to criticize me. That's fine. I don't have an issue with that. But all I can say is, well, I was right. Not everything is rosy, and this live show is not to criticize Harley Davidson in terms of being negative. This has got nothing to do with that. I'm a fan of Harley Davidson. I'm a fan of the bikes. I'm a fan because I just see the potential of what they can be. And this is where I think they're failing, or they're not just doing a good enough job in keeping the interest. That's what I think. Bring back Matt Levitic. Wow. I think some people would, but then again, when he was in place, lots of people were slating them as well. You can do no right for doing wrong. Is that right? Is that the expression? Isn't it? Anyway, especially here, we expect to see bikes for the forthcoming year as we go into late autumn, winter, and then see bikes sat on the showroom floors early spring. Yep. Yeah. I've noticed Harley delivered a lot of their new 2022 model year bikes right at the back end, and not many folks are going out to buy a bike to park in the garage for the winter. Look, as I said right at the start of the show, I went into a dealership yesterday and they got loads of bikes, loads of 2022 bikes, some used, but most are new, unregistered bikes. They're there for the taking, if you want them. But if people are not going to be riding them, it's almost like a bit of a silly, why would you buy a bike if you're not going to ride it, or you're not going to ride it until next spring? So I get it. So there's surplus, I would imagine, surplus of stock right now is 2022 model year bikes. Yeah, because everybody's going to be waiting. If you're going to buy a brand new bike, let's say, surely, and you live in the northern hemisphere, where we do have a winter, surely you're going to think, do you know what? I'll wait a few more months. And that's exactly what I said to the guys. Yeah, I'm interested in a Tourer, of course. I don't know which way I'm going to go, whether it's Harley, BMW, Indian, whatever. If I do indeed go that way, right? But I'm interested in Harley Davidson. There's no doubt. But say, I'm not going to do anything until next year. Be open and honest with them. No, I'm not going to be open. I'm not going to do anything. So yeah, whilst these bikes are really attractive, I've got to say there's a couple of really great deals there, not in terms of price, but in terms of, because I don't think there's much of a great price right now because it's all really expensive, right? But in terms of looks and deal, a couple of used ones with hardly any miles on them, and I mean hardly any miles on them, not a mark on them, little bit, and the problem is they're almost selling for the same price as a brand new one. That's the thing. There we go. But they're there. You don't have to wait. You don't have to wait for the model. They've got that bike there. So if you really wanted it, you could go and get it now. Though I've just done it, but that's another story. They seem to be well behind the curve on that front. Well, I do. I just can't help but feel, yeah, the lowrider ST is very appealing. Good on you, Harley. Well, I think the lowrider ST is captured the imagination of many people who wanted that sort of performance style bike. And I mean, let me just put the graphic back up there. It's whether you like it or not, it definitely appeals. It definitely appeals to a lot of people. Now, do I necessarily like it? No, I'm not the keenest on it. I'm not keenest on in the position of the bags. I think they sit too high. Let me just put the graphic back up there again. I think the fairing, whether you either like that or not, for me, I would like something more of a club style, Memphis Shades type smoother fairing. For me, that's just for me. I would like to see the bags a little bit lower, just a little bit. No, nothing much. I mean, you still got decent lean angles on other bikes that have got lower bags. So I don't think you need it to be that much. I like the 117 engine in it, definitely. I'm definitely like that. We need a Harley monkey bike. Well, hey, look, back in the day, everybody hates the AMF years, but back in the day, guess what? Okay, were they really Harley Davidsons? Aramaki bikes, but even so, it's not as if they've never made small bikes or been associated with small bikes before, right? Still waiting for the Bronx. Well, okay, that's the latest rumor, but that's always going to happen. Wouldn't it be great? Wouldn't it be great if they just did that? If they just brought it out and said, finally, there we go. Well, if Harley has 4 new bikes, it might be a good idea to spread them out throughout the year. But what about if they had 4 new bikes and then they released another 2 new bikes later in the year? Wouldn't that be even better? Wouldn't that be even better just to keep the attention? Or, yeah, you say, right, okay, we're going to, we tell people, you say, right, in January, we're going to release this new bike. But actually, in March, we got another bike. In August, we got another bike. Let's say, I don't know, July, we got another bike. And in August, we got another bike. The problem if you do that is that you're missing out on a lot of the riding market, and all they're really going to be focused on is their major market is going to be United States and Canada, but also in Europe as well. So you got to hit it right. And when they do it, so I think this is what I say. If you're going to do this January reveal, and you're going to try and get brand new models. I'm not talking the updates to 2022 models. I'm talking a brand new model here. Because what happens with a January reveal, that certain dealerships in the United States, right, especially the bigger ones, right, they will get cherry-picked brand new models sent to them very, very quickly. In fact, they might even start receiving them before the reveal or just on the week of the reveal, right? But they're still not getting the brand new bikes until, maybe a month, 2 months later. Well, okay, so if United States, they're getting the models just for spring, early spring, March, April, that you've still got 3 months there where you wasted in sales. Okay, you can get pre-orders and all that sort of stuff. I get it. But in terms of physical bikes on the dealership floor, you just haven't got it. Whereas if you revealed them in October time, September, October time, you've got all that time to get them onto the showroom floor for the 1st of January, right? Or the 2nd of January or whatever it is. Then you got all that time where people can go in, have a look at them, drive that enthusiasm, drive that time, lots of press releases, lots of talk, lots of marketing. And then all of a sudden people start saying, yeah, buy, if they could afford it, of course, but there we go. But yeah, Harley's advertising department sucks. The way they treat the real media enthusiasts is demeaning. Well, I'm not a media professional. I'm not a media marketing professional, by any stretch of the imagination. But what I think is that they just don't do it right. They just don't do it right. They've been living in the past for too long. And when the last couple of January reveals that they did, you're going to get half of the Harley Davidson fandom, let's say, the interest, that really like that sort of style of delivery, that, hey, this is our history, this is what we're doing, this is where we come from, and look, we've got these individuals who are going to tell you their life story. But it's all a similar kind of thing. There's no, they're not capturing what's going on. They're not capturing what the new generation is. And so you look at somebody like me and I say, well, hold on a minute. I'm not a professional, but at the same time, even I can see that is rubbish. That is old fashioned, and this is where the biggest mistakes are being made for me. It's the way they're delivering their new products. It's the way they're marketing things. It's the models that they're bringing out, but it's the lack of appreciation of what should attract people, and the older people, they, like me and older, they got one bike left in them at most, right? That's even if they can be bothered to buy a brand new bike from Harley Davidson, because maybe they think, right, you know what, I can't, it's too expensive, and you get all the negativity coming out and all that sort of stuff. Now, some will, but some won't. But I say, I've said this before, if Harley Davidson and companies like them don't acknowledge that it's a massive global shift in the economy and the way people are going to be spending their money, they're going to have real problems for 2023. This is my prediction. There'll be real problems if They don't come out with a huge, uh, awesome January reveal to make up for this kind of wilderness that we find ourselves in, for this kind of absenteeism from the market. They're just not there. I go to, I look at the Harley Davidson media site. Okay, it's a media site which you can look at, and as well. Do you know what? I think it's open to the public anyway. I can't remember if I had to register it for it anyway. But anyway, you download images there, download videos there. I mean, I'll show you. I'm going to show you. I'll quickly show you exactly the kind of stuff that you can download. Let me quickly show you this for a second. The sound will go, by the way. There we go. Look, so all the video stuff that you see from Harley Davidson, it's all there. So I can download it. I can use it in my videos. I can do whatever. Right. The imagery that I can show you here, it all comes from there. It all comes from there. So I can show you, or show it on the website. And as somebody who's doing this kind of reporting stuff, yeah, I can show you all this sort of stuff. It's not copyright. It's just that I'm talking about that sort of stuff, right? And it's free advertising for them. It's free advertising. But you look at all this stuff and you think, well, it's only people like me who are discussing this and talking about this. But you go to the media site and there's nothing there. Or when I'm saying there's nothing there, of course there's stuff there, but it's still all old news. It's still old news. It's still the bikes that we know. You can just go to the website. You go to the website and it's there. I don't need to go to the media site. Why do I need to go to the media site if it's there? You go to the media site for fresh press releases or new information, right? This is what kills me. And maybe many of you don't know this, but the media site is supposed to be the first source that delivers information to the press, or delivers information to people, doing this kind of thing, right? Online content, let's say. But even the media site is out of date on a lot of the stuff that comes out in the press. So how does that work? How does that work? It's just ridiculous. But there we go. There we go. You have to go to work. Hey. Sorry. Well, hey, have a good day at work. Have a good day at work. Keep up the good fight. Oh, I certainly try to. The fight is just to improve what we perceive as Harley Davidson. Again, I don't. People will see this video or see this live stream and think as I'm attacking them or being critical. I'm not. I'm actually saying, look, I want you to improve. I want you to do better. It's like I'm the coach. I'm the coach and I'm teaching kids how to play football, right? It's basically saying, no, this is where you're going wrong. This is what, if you want to improve, if you want to win the league next year, if you want to win the game next week, you have to look at this issue. You need to, look at your defense. You look at midfield, you look at your attack, this kind of thing. We're going to use tactics, different formation. We're going to change it up a little bit, whatever, all this sort of stuff. You're going to take the strengths of your team and then support those strengths with solid foundation and solid play. Okay, I'm gone off on a tangent, but this is where I see my reporting on Harley Davidson. It's not out of malice at all. It's actually out of support, out of something to say, look, I own a Harley Davidson. I have a vested interest in seeing what they do next. This has got nothing to do with my channel. This has got nothing to do with, using Harley Davidson to promote my channel. In fact, if anything, I've, the way I've spoken about Harley Davidson in the past has actually hurt my channel. It's got nothing to do with that. It's just something that I feel quite passionately that, hey, if you're going to listen to anybody and they say sometimes, hey, we've reached out into the community. Well, what community have you reached out to? Who have you reached out to? Who have you spoken to that you've listened to in the community? Are you just reaching out to people in the community who always say that you're fantastic, that you're doing well? Guess what? That does nobody any good whatsoever, and it certainly doesn't you good. You never want to surround yourself with yes men. Yes, it makes you feel better, it makes you feel warm and cozy and think, hey, but it turns you into an egomaniac who can't even see where you're making your own mistakes. And that's for me it. You've got to surround yourself with people who are going to be critical or critical thinkers, or look at the situation and say, this is right, this is not right, all that sort of stuff. and how to improve. And I just think that I just hope that Harley Davidson come out with something brilliant. I've got my wish list. I think I've got my wish list, but I fully acknowledge that actually most of the things that I've said probably in the grand scheme of things aren't workable, or they're just not going to happen, or whatever. I acknowledge that. I'm not saying that they have to implement my suggestions. But there are simple things that they could have addressed already, and we already know what these are. The complaints that people have about new bikes. All LED lighting, let's say, for example. This is a simple thing that they could have done. The whatever the suspension on the Taurus, yeah, sort that out. All your lighting, whatever, sort that out. It just goes on and on. So you could say to Harley Davidson, if you're going to do anything, address all the major complaints from a broad spectrum of people, right, about your bikes. Just do that first. If you're going to do one thing that is really going to help, just do that. And you're going to get YouTubers and websites and people saying, finally, Harley Davidson has seen the light. They have seen the LED light. You can see it now. You can see the headlines now, right? You can see it. You can see it. Shan, hello there. Hello. Here we go. Let's put this. Street Glide ST is my grail bike. Nice. Yeah. Okay. Look, if you like it, great. There's no problem. I say personally for me, I just like the special Street Glide special, Road Glide special, Road King special over the ST. But hey, personal preference has got nothing to do with that. If that's your jam, then you spread it, mate, as they say. Or I've just made that up. But there we go. Look, as I say, all this, it's not that I am a fan, as I keep on saying, of all motorcycle brands. I'm a fan of all motorcycles. I love motorcycles in general, any bike, right? But when it comes to Harley Davidson in particular, I have a vested interest in it because I own one. And I'm always interested to see, well, what are they doing? What can they offer? Can they keep my attention as an owner, as a motorcycle owner? If I were to go next year and say, right, I'm in a financial position right now, things have changed, the market is stabilized, the economy is stabilized, interest rates have come down a bit, everything seems to be back on track again. Now, have Harley Davidson produced something that wows me, that really attracts me? Or have they produced a bike that is at least as good or better than any of the competition of, let's say, a tourer bike, for example, right? Are they doing it? And you got to ask yourself right now, well, in some respects, they still do great bikes, don't get me wrong, and I think they have the looks over the Indians, for example. But I think Indians in general have a better technical package. But there's lots of issues with Indian as well. But Harley Davidson, I think, their dealership network and all that sort of stuff, and the availability of their bikes and everything like that, they are there. They are primed to, fend off Indian, give them a good slap around the head. Just get back in your box. They could say to BMW, get back in your box. We're the kings here. Go to Honda with their sort of tourer bike, the Goldwing, for example, all their adventure bikes, and just say, get rid of those. We are the kings here. But okay, whether that's a reality or not. But what I'm saying is, they could really surprise a lot of people, and I hope they do. Like they did with the Pan America, which wasn't really the biggest secret reveal at the end of the day because we had too much lead up time. And I always questioned at the time, why did they show us the Bronx and the Pan America so early? That was a poor marketing decision for me. I think actually they should have kept that under the radar a little bit. So now I would say, if this is, where Harley Davidson could address the mistake right now of this January reveal, is to lead up to January with little snippets of video, little snippets of kind of shadowy figures, watching over a motorcycle as it's, coming out of the flames and all that sort of stuff. The foundry at work bashing on metal, and all of a sudden behind the flames you can see the silhouette of a virgin motorcycle. All this kind of stuff, right? It's silly, it's nonsense, I know. But in terms of marketing, in terms of capturing the imagination, guess what would happen if they release a little 5-10 second video clip, right? Guess what? The world would erupt. Social media, in terms of motorcycle social media, I can see it now. All the motorcycle publications say, look, Harley Davidson, they've just released this video. Wow, what is it? Is it this? Is it that? Does it have this engine? Does it have... You can just imagine the speculation. You can just imagine the fever, especially amongst Harley Davidson fans, right? There would be... it would reach fever pitch. Now, if they do it, if they started doing this in September, they started doing this in, October, November, then you kind of think, hello, there's something here. They're doing something right. If they did this throughout the year and start just giving little, little videos, little imagery of stuff that you can't really identify. It's a little bit vague. It's a little bit... And then all of a sudden they put little statements out, little cryptic statements out, let's say. Well, first of all, I think it'd be quite funny. I think it would be interesting to put out this cryptic stuff to get people guessing. And I just think, wow, that's really funny. Humorous, as in, it's humorous to be cryptic. But I also think it will just work on so many different levels. So you got a brand new launch reveal. You've been priming your audience or priming the motorcycle industry for a long time, thinking Harley Davidson, they're going to come out with something here. They're going to do something. They're going to get us thinking about stuff. They're going to, and all of a sudden the reveal comes and boom, there it is. The big reveal. Fireworks, explosions, dancing girls or boys, whatever your fancy is, right? You're going to be there. They'll be breaking down barriers. They're going to be breaking down social barriers, injustice. They're talking about gender equality in terms of motorcycles, in terms of identity here, which they've already kind of done that into the last few years, in terms of male and female, in terms of race relations, in terms of cultural relations. Hey, look, this is from India. This is from El Salvador. This is from, New York. This is from South Africa. This is from whatever, global thing, and it's just a pop, 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 pop. You can see where my mind is going with this. You can see where I'm thinking, well, hold on a minute. As somebody, you guys, and if you're watching this later, right, and you're thinking, oh, Alf's lost the plot here. But what I'm saying is, you just imagine you are watching a presentation like this, and you're thinking, what the hell is going on here? This is just a feast on the eyes. This is just amazing. This is just, wow. If it's something different like that, if it's something that you're like going, oh my God, explosions, volcanoes erupting, whatever it is, and they're all of a sudden, and obviously it's motorcycles riding in, the heroes coming in on motorcycles, and they're just gonna, save the day, whatever it is. I mean, it's ridiculous. I know it's completely stupid, but at the same time, why not have a bit of stupidity? Why not have a bit of ridiculousness? Why not have a bit of a massive show? Harley Davidson, the biggest American motorcycle brand, well, in some people's eyes, the only American motorcycle brand, but they're definitely the biggest. They are the American motorcycle brand. When you talk about to people who don't know about motorcycles, right? You say, okay, name a American motorcycle. They say Harley Davidson. Most people would just say Harley Davidson, right? So all of a sudden, you've got people out there who would just look at this and go, wow, that is amazing. Wow, that is brilliant. Wow, what a show. The American brand, okay? The American brand have brought Hollywood to the motorcycle stage. See where I'm thinking? They've made this a Hollywood blockbuster. They've made this Tom Cruise comes to Harley Davidson. Yeah, that's what they've done. They said, right, Mission Impossible. Harley Davidson, Harley Davidson, whatever. Ridiculous. I'm being stupid now, but you can see my point. You as the audience, you're looking at this and you're going, wow, this is what we've been waiting for. This is amazing. This is a bike that I can see, I can identify with myself. I don't want to hear about history. I don't want to hear about, hey, this is what they used to do in the 1960s. And this is, who cares? Who cares? It's the here and now. I'm not saying you forget about everything, but what I'm saying is, you change it up, man. My Harley pup, hello there. How are you? Hello, Rev. I'm also an invested Harley rider. The issue is that a HD is such a traditional looking, bike. Maybe need to bring out something to compete with the Triumph. Well, I kind of make parallels with the Triumph all the time there, absolutely, because I think if the Triumph has gained ground in recent years, not only just the United States but all over the world, of course. And some of the bikes that they do, Triumph have been very savvy. I think they use the same engine, they use the same kind of chassis for lots of different bikes. So they. I've always said, Harley Davidson, yes, they do that. Of course, they do with the M8 engine and previous engine incarnations as well. Excuse me, with the Softails, with the Sportsters, with the Tourers. So they do that, but I think, they could add a lot more variety within that platform, but they could also add within those platforms, I should say, but they could also bring something brand new. So again, you should never ignore the past. You should never ignore the traditionalists. You should never just ignore the old guard, what they want, as it were. But you've also got to have something for the new guys. You've got to also have something for the next generation. And as I always say, it's not only just about today, it's also about tomorrow, next week, next year, in 10 years' time. What are people going to do? And if Harley Davidson wanted this revolution with the Revolution Max engine, they needed to be a lot more forceful with that. They needed to be a lot more upfront, in your face. They needed to be a lot more in the consciousness of the motorcyclist. Whether you're a Harley Davidson fan, like I am and like you are, I'm sure, or whether you're just a motorcycle fan, which I am and I'm sure you are, or whether you've never even considered Harley Davidson, which I used to be, right? I never even considered Harley Davidson until about 10 years ago. It could be an age thing. It could be, I always liked them, but I never really thought, well, they're for me. But, times change. And I thought, well, hey, so, what are they doing for that? And this is the thing, can you imagine if they came out with a January reveal and then all of a sudden you're watching it? Can you imagine this? You're watching the reveal in January, then all of a sudden you see all the things that I've talked about. Can you imagine that? First of all, I'd be thinking, crikey, did somebody actually watch my video? Does somebody watch my live stream? And maybe you'd be thinking about that. You say, crikey, Alf was talking about that. Revelator Alf was talking about that. But no, seriously, it's not about me, honestly. No, but, can you imagine if they did something like that? What would be your reaction? And if they changed it completely, how they did it throughout the year, they brought out a lot more bikes. They did a lot more, marketing, proper marketing, as in bringing out new stuff, new ideas, new imagery, always getting new people to talk to or to interview, maybe have a media department where they're bringing in well-known people to talk about, bikes and everything like that. That kind of thing. Why not? And I'm not talking about the Jason Momoas of this world. Look, I've been critical of that, and lots of people have been critical about that. But it's not about him. It's just one-dimensional, and maybe you just need to, bring other people, younger people, young kids in, or older people, whatever. All that sort of stuff. But but can you imagine if you're watching the reveal and you saw next year that they totally changed the way they do things, and they changed it, 100%. They turned it on its head. Then all of a sudden you're thinking, wow, this is amazing. Wow, unbelievable. Morris, hello, 11. Thank you. A lot more likes, please. A lot more likes. That'd be much appreciated. When they talk about their history, it sounds like they are saying, look how good we used to be. Do you know, Morris, that is so funny you say that. That is so funny you say that, because I feel exactly the same way. I feel exactly the same way when I see this. I see this. I think, God, was it all that good back then? Why do you keep on harping back? It sounds as if, from Harley Davidson, definitely, it sounds as if they're doing this. They sound as if they're like old people talking about the good old days. It's like if you got me with a group of my friends, right, my friends my age, right, and we'd be talking about the good old days. That's it. But younger people sitting on the table next to us, they'd be thinking, God, these old timers, that's all they're talking about. God, the good old days. You know what I mean? So we're disconnected from the modern reality. And this is, I get it. That's exactly what I feel about Harley Davidson when they do all this stuff. It's just so old fashioned. Even if when they interview younger people, or they get younger people to do their little movie clips, little videos, whatever, it's always in that kind of style. It always feels as if it's outdated. It always feels as if it's whatever. It just doesn't feel right to me. It just doesn't feel right. And I think, as I say, it just seems look outdated to me. Harley Davidson just seem really outdated. Not the bikes per se, but just the way that they do things. And this all comes from the top. This all comes from the top, and whether how they do things, how they see things. I mean, the first year that they did the January reveal, it was just like, what the hell are they doing? They just had people from within their own company just try to be presenters, and oh my God. Okay, I know the world was on lockdown and everything, but it was just really, really poor. The second year was no better either. I just thought, well, what is going on here? But there we go. Listen. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Of course, are Harley Davidson making the biggest mistake? Have they made the biggest mistakes of not reading the market right, of not looking at the next generation, what the younger crowd really want, what they're looking for in bikes? Are they still reliant on the old guard, with disposable income, long hard cash? Look, as I said, and I keep on saying this as a kind of running theme here, it's all well and good saying how great you are and how great a company is and how great, our motorcycles would be, and hey, these are aspirational when times are good, when people have money, when interest rates are low, when money is cheap to borrow and everything. But now that it isn't, and it's getting more and more expensive, and inflation is going up and up and up, can you still hang your hat on that? I don't think you can. And that's where the premise of all this is, really. You can't keep on saying, hey, we're going to produce these bikes and they're fantastic and people are going to buy them and everything like that, and and keep on selling the same story. People will be wise to that, and people they know. And then you think, you've only got a certain age group that has got this kind of money, and the younger age group, guess what? They haven't got it. They haven't got it. They may have it in the future, but they haven't got it now. And so, that's the biggest mistake for me. It's misunderstanding where the market is at and what the people really want, regardless of how good your bikes are or how nice they look or whatever. And let's face it, you don't go to Harley Davidson to have a performance machine. And all the people who are critical of Harley Davidson in terms of, they're just tractors, they're agricultural, they're slow, whatever, they're not bikes. Of course, they're not. They're not performance machines. They're not supposed to be. Regardless of what some people try to make them into performance machines, they're not. They're big, they're heavy, whatever. but Harley Davidson, they turned a lot of heads with the Pan American, the Revolution Max engine. So this is where they need to capitalize. This is where they need to expand, maybe even bring out another engine, maybe do something different as well. I'm not talking in January in 2023. I'm talking about for the future. Right? I'm talking about, the next 3 or 4 years. Yeah. Phase out the M8 engine, bring out a brand new engine. Where there's a liquid cooled engine, see where the market's at. And as I said in previous live streams as well, not only for Harley Davidson, but also on other manufacturers, you got to look at the technology of engines. You got to look at the fuel for engines, whether it's going to continue with petrol, whether you're going to do like hydrogen or a hybrid or something like that, which other manufacturers are starting to do. And I've reported that in the recent live streams as well. But you also got to look at electric as well. You got to look at where other motorcycle brands, electric brands, are producing I wouldn't say very, but a lot cheaper electric short distance bikes now. Okay, granted, for $5,000, $6,000 pounds, shekels, whatever it is. And you think, well, actually, you know what? They're doing it. But also you think, oh, well, this is not Harley Davidson, with their Livewire, right? The Livewire company. Oh, this is not Harley Davidson. They're still producing more expensive bikes, and they don't need to do the cheaper bikes. Well, guess what? Kawasaki, Honda, Suzuki, Yamaha, guess what? And all these other big manufacturers from China, from India, they're all starting to come out with the cheap electric bikes now, or cheaper electric bikes, and it's only going to get better and better. So you got to look at that for the future. What Harley Davidson tapping into, and a bigger share of a diminishing market means that you become the number one shareholder of a market that doesn't exist. That's essentially it. Yeah. So let's just hope it. Let's just leave it there. Let's just hope that Harley Davidson shock and awe us, give us wow, give us wonder, give us volcanoes, give us eruptions, give us, motorcycle supernovas, give us all that. Give us all that for next year. Give us that in the live reveal. But they change the way they do things, and they bring out new models, not just one, not just two, not just three, but 4, 5, 6, 7. They surprise the hell out of us, and they turn it right on its head, and they say, this is Harley Davidson. This is Harley Davidson 2023. Boom, have that. This is what we want. We don't want Harley Davidson that live in the 1950s or the 60s. Regardless of how old we are, we want something that's going to be surprising, that's going to be pleasing, that's going to be cause the chatter, and stop all this idle rumor. Give us something that we can definitely talk about, definitely discuss, definitely say. Otherwise, it's just rumor, idle speculation. It's just YouTubers out there like me and others, YouTubers out there who are just trying to find something to discuss, and it's just speculation, it's just idle gossip. Whereas if you've got something where you're releasing a little snippet of visuals of motorcycling in the background, as I say, with that visual, as I say, somebody's working in a boundary, bashing metal, there's flames all over the place, sparks all over the place, and in the silhouette in the background, and there's a silhouette of a motorcycle just coming out of the fire, as it were. All of a sudden you're going to think, wow, what is that? What are Harley Davidson playing here? What's going on here? So you release that 1 month, the next month you come out with another one, and it's a totally different silhouette of a different bike. And you think, what's going on? I mean, the next month is another. Maybe there's a few images, maybe there's a little tweet here and there, from Harley Davidson, maybe whatever it is. It doesn't make any difference, but it's engaging, it's asking questions, it's getting us, but behind all that marketing stuff, that revamped marketing style, they've got to deliver the goods. They've got to bring out new bikes, right? They've got to bring out new products. Anyway, listen, it's been an hour and a half I've been talking about this. Do you know what? Honestly, I could go on for another 10 hours talking about this. Well, I don't think my throat could cope. Let me just have a quick quick slurp there. I don't think my throat could cope, but you know what I mean. It's just an interesting thing. And I say this comes from a good place. I'm not being critical in a bad way. I'm just trying to say, you know, they could do better. They should do better. This is Harley Davidson, for example. You know, they should do better, and I hope they do. And I hope they wow us, and I hope they've listened to me and they implemented all the things that I've talked about. You know, but no, I honestly believe that they have the greatest potential out there of the larger motorcycles, of the larger motorcycle manufacturers, the greatest potential to change things up. That's it. I think they have the greatest potential, and I will say that until I'm blue in the face. Let us know your thoughts, but all I can say is it is time to go, and it's been emotional. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Thanks for joining in the chat. Let us know your comments below, and well, all I can say is this. Catch you again. Ta-da.